Welcome to the Possibility Perspective with me, Jess. Authentic, bold, and challenging conversations. The authentic part comes in as me just showing up with an openness to possibilities. The bold is getting to some topics that might ruffle some feathers. And the challenging is for all of us, to challenge ourselves. Be open to looking at things through a different lens. You'll hear stories from me, conversations with peers, and interviews with experts on a variety of topics. All with different perspectives. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Possibility Perspective. I'm very excited about my conversation today. And I guess I've been saying that a lot, but it's okay to be excited every time you do this, right? Because that's part of it. And it's like a full body excitement. I like wiggle in my chair about it. My guest today is Gina Lobito. I've worked with her for a while. She's incredible. So she's got a lot of tools in her kit. The topic today, we're going to talk a bit about energy. We're going to talk about what the light body is. We're going to talk about chakras. And I'm going to go ask her some really basic questions, because even though I have thrown around these words a lot and have an understanding of it, I don't actually know that I have an understanding enough that I could explain it to someone else, which means I have more to learn. So I'm excited to share this knowledge with you. Gina, so she's, like I said, she has a lot of tools in her kit. She has certifications in advanced bodywork, Reiki, crystal healing. She's an advanced shamanic practitioner. She's a nature-connected life and leadership coach. She's an advanced student of self-mastery and Metatron color healing, and I'm probably sure I've missed some things in that explanation. But welcome, Gina, to my show.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Jessica, for having me. Always fun to get together. I never stop smiling when we meet. And that just tells me there's just a lot of light coming through for both of us when we get to do this. And I feel that's just in general, as people come together in community and support each other, we should feel that level of joy in creating.
Yeah.
And I love how you just call them tools in my toolbox or toolkit, because they are tools. Like, as much as I like to remind people, certifications is just a way for me to be acknowledged that I completed a course of study, right? But it also, where any of us take these attunements, as I like to call them, it evolves within you. And so has the light body and things in that nature, and my understanding of them, and working with them with myself and self-mastery and with clients. So it's simple and complex all at the same time. And I'm curious, where would you like me to start? What's the first question?
So let's start with, when we say light body, explain to people what that is.
Yeah. And I'm just also going to be very general too, because it's so complex. Because it's made up of many components, our light body. That one of which is our chakra system, our energetic system, but also within that, our core column of light that runs central to our nervous system and our circuitry along the spinal column and brain centers and things of that nature. But it goes all the way into the core of the earth. It's a really unseen but felt energy. And it goes all the way into our connection to source and our cosmic heart, if you will, or etheric hearts, also through our heart center. But even within that tube of light, there is also components, and depending on what course of study you've had, some people refer to the dantian to fill this area of energy, which is located in your lower chakras, like above the belly button. It depends where you read, but it can be low between the belly button and your root, and some people describe it a little higher in the solar plexus of the upper abdomen, but below the rib cage. But it's a power center. And hi, Gus. Some of you might hear my dog Gus in the background. If he does start to bark, just so you know, I will mute the microphone to settle him down. But even if you don't understand these terms or read about these terms, we're grounding into our light through this mechanism of the light body, but it's also through our auric field, right? It's colorful. People that can see color will describe colors, and it can change. Your chakra system changes as you evolve, right? So within these fields of energy that are around us and part of our light body, there are color, but within that is also information. So I like to think of it in many different ways, but sometimes I think of it as a filter to bring in energy into our physical body. But also with that, we can push energy out of our physical body. Okay.
So really basic question. So like, because we talk about like people, most people that are probably listening to this are familiar with meditation, right?
Yeah.
Being grounded, right? And that's part of it.
That's part of it. And it's important to recognize grounded is a state of being. It's a state of embodiment. So these practices of meditation and dropping your cord to the core of the earth, which has a lot of purpose. I'm not saying don't do that, but it gets easier. And then you become more present within the body. You become more clear in your mental body, your emotional body. So in this language of metaphysics and quantum healing and things of that nature, people will say the body or bodies, right? And the primary four that people reference are the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, right? The unseen energy that runs within us. Because even the spiritual, I have a challenging time even saying spirituality these days because we're innately designed this way. It's not anything that is elusive, and it's not what do you call it? It's not exclusive to one or two people. It's all of us. So how one develops it might look different, right? I went into a place where I started in drum circles. I started working with sound and didn't realize I was learning about the medicine wheel in Native American traditions, right? And then I went into some course of study called Self-Mastery, where we studied Ascended Master teachings aligned with the chakra system. But it was all about color and attributes, and not so much. I don't want to not give credit to working with guides or ascended master beings of light and archangels and Elohim, right? But what I've grown to recognize as I've worked with my body, these are aspects of myself. It's no different than having a mentor go, okay, I like those attributes. I want to learn this skill. Mentor me to bring that out within myself. That's the kind of work I do and remind people to do. Like it is inside you, and to further connect with your higher self, your presence. And right now there's a
Well, I was just gonna say, so when I think about this for me, and I think about it, I was just talking about this morning, is when I go to make a decision about something, right? I've got a decision to make. And I either go, oftentimes, which I'm learning not to do, is I go in my head and I am like so analytical, so logical, and then I overthink something to death, right? But if I stop doing that and I allow myself to have a body reaction, that's every time I've gone with that, like I just have this feeling, this knowing, this, call it your gut reaction, call it your intuition. Whenever I go with that, I've never been steered wrong, ever.
Right? That's your intuition. That's your feeling, your sensory. We're all learning how to work with our higher sensory being or body or perspective or person, as people call it. But it's really, this is how we're designed. So slowing down, this is part of integration. Like you asked, how do we integrate this? To slow down, breathe. Breathe connects you to prana, your source energy, connects you to your heart. It grounds you, which calms your nervous system, which science is really, really talking about more and more all the time, right? But when we all learn to regulate ourselves and work and discern with the energies, and these fields and color, the attributes of color, and they all change. It's a spectrum of light and waves. We're a bunch of like particulates and waves of energy. So even
Yeah.
if you don't speak this language, you can practice how to feel it around yourself by even just in your home. Like I'm looking outside my window right now and I live off a busy street and there's cars that go by. So if I want to get the pulse of what the energies feel like and rhythm of my home and what surrounds me, all I need to do is exactly what you said. I need to slow down, stop, pause, and listen. Because when we do that, it gives space to hear ourselves. It gives space to hear the world around us and what is really, where am I being led by this sensory body? And then the ability to just be neutral with it, right? This is all steps in our self mastery to be that observer, that neutral observer, and bring in the higher perspective, right? So if I'm working with a client and like you're describing, oh, I'm getting so analytical, and exactly what you did, let's calm down, let's breathe. Where do you feel it in your body? Is there contraction? Is there relaxation? And then bring it to a neutral place. Recognize any fears that might be there until they're dissipated. And that's the integration. You're not really getting rid of anything. You're just transforming it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like thinking about it that way because I think, we could just like dispel some myths here, right? About what we there's some things that are taught that I guess my opinion is are wrong because they make sometimes I've felt in my own quest for answers, let's say that I'm like, great, now I'm doing it wrong. But that's my like analytical brain, right? Like, oh, I
Yeah,
didn't do this thing right. Or if I act like a human and I fly off the handle or I get fearful, then I'm like, I'm failing right? I'm
yeah,
failing as a spiritual being or, failing in this journey to be more aware. And then I just get really hard on myself and I feel like probably other people can relate to that, but that's not what you're
absolutely.
saying.
Yeah, no, but that's really being aware. Yeah, and a lot of things I say, sometimes a lot of people may not agree with me at all, and I'm okay with that. I see things in a very specific way. I get shown it, and then I'm just like, no, I know there's a lot of truth here. Whether it's been written down yet or not, I don't know. Some things have, other things haven't, but we're meant to evolve. And so this is where I invite people all the time. Don't hold on to it so tightly because that gives you limitation. We're meant to unfold into ourselves. We're opening up to ourself. And that, even as you're describing that self-talk, right? That's just the story. That's just the story we tell ourselves. Some people can call it, oh, the ego is getting in the way, or some false belief. And it really, those things don't even matter anymore. When you have the awareness and you're getting to a certain level within yourself, you start to go, oh, yeah, I don't need to listen to that part of me. I really don't. I'm going to keep going. It's okay that it's there. You're just like, I'm going to come back to my heart and make the choice from there. Find laughter in it, right? And this, when you start to work with your light body and reinforce your direct connection to the earth, to your heart, and I say plural, it's hearts, because there's many heart centers within us. Really, that love frequency is within our entire system, the more and more we expand it, right? And because the chakra system itself, we're all from one energy, and it gets laid into the body and separated. And so, and then it feeds our energetic centers, our through the hormones, the endocrine system, the lymphatic system, the nervous system, all our wiring, right? The neurons, right? And it feeds our organs. We're all code and programmed. So, but we don't have to get caught up in, oh, how is that all that work? Just breathe, right? Because it's a lot. It's complicated and simple. If you just breathe and be aware of the body, what it's telling you, and it's communicating. So when we're looking and feeling, oh, I feel that someone's angry over there, that's your light body working. You don't even have to see it. You can walk in a room and feel the tension,
Yeah.
right? That's your light body.
Yeah.
You can
I
also, yeah.
I was just gonna say it's kind of making me giggle a little because I was thinking about like, yeah, like you don't have to like really analyze it to death and try to figure out how it all works. It just like an analogy to me is the internet. Like who actually knows how the internet works, right? It just
Perfect.
does,
It just does.
and
And
we
we're
all
not,
accept that.
we do.
So
And
like
we
we could,
take it for granted,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. But it's the
So
same concept.
similar.
Like,
It's exactly the same. Carolyn Mace talks about this, and she uses our cell phones as a reference. We
yeah,
get downloads, instant message text, right? Similar to our phone. We have that
yeah,
technology. We're so much like our technology we've created, and we can't see it right in front of ourselves that we live in it every day. We have
yeah.
inspiration of thought, and then I'm going to go create it and figure out how to do it, right? So we have
Hmm.
something that's untangible. It's just a thought, and then somehow someone decides to tinker around with it and create the cell phone or a computer chip or the components, right? So the more all of us work with the components of our light body, the less we actually will need to use this technology, because then we become that technology. We have telepathic communication. And this might be really far-fetched for some people, for others not, but we become like Star Trek, what we can learn to expand our particles and then project somewhere else and then rematerialize in another room or another part of the world. That's very advanced technology. There's reasons why people talk about Atlantean and Lemurian and all this, because it's all in us. Now we have to remember to be in the highest light with it and become, I'm thinking of Seinfeld in the way, become master of your domain, right? And raise your qualities to the highest function of you. And that even means our relationship with ourselves, how we enter into relationships. And that information is very much tied to our chakra system, because our lower three chakras, the root, sacral, solar plexus, they work, our chakra system works as triunal units of three, at least how I know it to be right now, because it's a very expanded system. It's very infinite and continuing to grow as you evolve and embody light, meaning you can hold the consistency of that energy and those qualities in love, and it just keeps rising and amplifying. So, for instance, if someone's continues to have patterns will develop within often our childhood. You can go into soul lives as well, but that's all present within you. So I find there's no reason to even do certain types of healing work anymore, because it's about being present in the body, what's there now. And then that pattern that's laid within you, you can have the opportunity to change that pattern through vibration, through color, through frequency, intention, purpose, through feeling it in your body, right? Because you're going to feel the contraction where there's some conflict or unease, and perhaps you like want to control an outcome. You're going to feel that. And then the deeper layers as to why that may be revealed through your thought, or you might have an experience and you're like, I'm having this memory, because your cells hold memory. So sometimes when I work with a client, they're like, oh, I'm thinking about this. I'm okay, good. Let's talk it out. And I just ask questions. This is where my guiding comes in. I ask open-ended questions. And then I'm like, where would you like to be with it? Right? So they go into the affirmative. How would you like to show up in the relationship with yourself and whoever's involved? It could be work, it can be friends, it can be romantic partners. It doesn't matter who or what. Even this relationship with technology, how do I really want to be with this relationship with technology? It's all the same energy. It's relationship. How am I relating to it? What's my perspective or perspectives with it? Because we can have multiple perspectives, but how am I using it in a harmonic way? Right? So you run it up your ladder, the root chakra, your foundation, your sense of tribe, your sense of safety, sacrals, your relationships, and so much more, because it's very much connected to your emotional center and your heart and your personal power in the solar plexus. right? The sacral is also very creative energy, right? It's not just reproduction. It's how, like, you and I are creating this together right now. And there's reasons why artists, they like people that create movies together or something, and then they end up dating, or right, because there's this attraction that's occurring, but they haven't balanced out or recognized it's the creative energy that's being ignited that magnetizes you together. But when the heart's not involved, that emotional center where they're like, wait, do I really like this person as a person? Do I really want to be in a relationship? Or did I let this excitement and this energy draw me here? And then it wasn't really what I thought, right? So this is learning how to work with your light body and recognize these energies. I remember having that feeling. I was working in a chiropractic office and all that energy hit. And I'm just like, ooh, and I'm getting really drawn. And then I had to back up and I'm like, wait, I don't want to enter into any of this dynamic. And then I just observed. I observed what was going on with my body. Didn't matter what the other person was doing because it's just energy. I had to slow down. It goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Slow down, go into observation and be neutral with it. And then I just observed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this a person I would want to spend more time with outside of the office setting? And the answer was no. So once that answer was no, I could still be playful and stuff, but I engaged with it in a totally different way that was really, truly honoring my being. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does. It makes perfect sense. And I want to go back to that too and put some emphasis on the slow down piece, because so often I think it's just the age that we're in, I guess, is that we are just go, do, right? And there isn't that like, whoa, stop, slow down, pause, check in.
Yeah.
Where are you with this? And
Yes.
then feeling that within yourself. And I think that's that's probably, I guess, for me, the takeaway message of this is if we all start to learn to do that, then imagine what happens, right, in your life, in your world, in your relationships, in your communication.
Yeah, so much, because then you're more clear within yourself. And then to be mindful that, are you going too much into what the other person is doing, right? Because there's so much information that it's good to be aware, like, okay, I see that person's operating this way, because then what also happens is you're becoming more heightened in your sensory perception. You can feel the energy and the currents and the code or information within that other person's energy. It doesn't mean it's absolute. It could just be for the moment, and you're recognizing, and they may be totally unaware, as all of us, we're operating with a system that is old. It's past. Right? Everything in our body is past. And
So
then we're operating from that place.
Does this help you? I mean, I want to talk about conflict then, like with another person, right? Because we're trying to because if we're picking up something, right? Like, oh, we're going to be met here with like a little something, right?
Right.
Then if we're okay, if we, go in and like, we're okay, then like, we're not going to have, I'm assuming, the same reactive, the same fan the flames on the fire, you know what I mean?
And unless you want to fan those flames. Yes, that's a really great question. That's a really great question, because absolutely, the potential for conflict reduces greatly, because you're already receiving and acting on your intuition, and then the mental body will kick in. Where do I need to really position myself? Like, do I need to leave, like physically leave an area because there's danger, right? Or because something doesn't feel right? I'm just like, oh, I've had enough time at this party. Something's changing. It's time to go, right? And then you might find out later events had occurred. That's you listening and taking action. So you have that feminine energy of listening, that intuitive energy. It's very abstract, but very powerful, right? So yes, because you're resolving what's occurring within yourself, and it happens faster and faster, right? And then you're able to just observe what's happening within you and what's in front of you with another person. and you breathe, right? There's sometimes, depending on who's in front of me, I'm like, what do you need? Sometimes just being open and asking an open-ended question, it de-escalates the situation, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
Cause I
about,
mean, we don't always have the opportunity to like remove ourselves, right? Like if you're not in danger, but like you're in just like a human interaction, that's going to become like someone's kind of coming at you. But if
yeah,
you're just like you said, like you can get yourself to the point where you're not, if you choose not to escalate it. But like you said, like
right.
you might choose
And
to be
you
like,
might choose like, yeah, and that's okay too,
no,
because
it's going
sometimes,
down.
sometimes we have to create a boundary,
Yeah.
and that will ignite something. What I would invite people to do is recognize, wait, is my button getting pushed here? Because that's telling, and it's an opportunity for you to resolve it and take that finger off the button, right? Because oftentimes conflict are with people they're not really in our lives at all. Oftentimes too, and sometimes they are our partners and whatnot, but even that, it's all the same. We move from reaction to response when we can just step back and be observant of
Yeah.
ourselves and go, wait, did I even give space for a conversation, or did I just go straight into my emotions? You know? And in relationships, if we're all fortunate enough to have partners that are highly self-reflective without being overly analytical, because that can take up a lot of energy. And Lord knows I'm extremely analytical, but I've relaxed a lot more too. And which I think has a lot to do with my delay in getting things done sometimes too. Um, but yeah, the ability for resolution is there, right? And being okay if there is no resolution between some discordant energy and disagreement between you and another person. We don't have to agree. This is part of this expanded perspectives. We're meant to have a different perspective. If we're all part of oneness, which I believe we are all part of source and each other, why wouldn't I invite the perspective and humbly go, oh yeah, thank you for that. I don't know how that will work here, but I'm going to sit with that. Thank you for sharing. Like I don't even have to say the other piece of I don't know how
Yeah.
that will work, but we need the perspectives. It's like an ongoing brainstorm, right? We're going to go, okay, we have this idea. How are we going to make it, right? How are we going to do it? And then I just realized none of us do anything by ourselves. We really don't. There's going to be parts to us that, okay, I got to take the reins on this, right? But when we learn to work as a community and a team within our body, with each other, like we're so powerful in community that life should be easier, and it does get easier. And because people want to be in community, they've just forgotten how, because they've forgotten how to even be in community with themselves. And that's all lower chakra stuff and the heart. And so when the people I hear they want to ascend on this accelerated level, they don't have an understanding of what that really means, and the work I feel that goes with that, or I'll say the skill set one must learn and go initiated through, because I feel life initiates you through these processes. So then you move it into embodiment, because it's really about embodiment. So you could read all the books you want, but if you're not embodying it, it doesn't matter. You're going to plateau. So kind of bringing you back to the power of the pause, the feeling in your body, that is a very key component. And so I would say the three things that would go together with that is the pause, the observation, like where are you? What's happening? Not from an analytical place, just neutrally observe. And the breath. And so sometimes we begin with the external because that's easier for people, right? Because it's hard to look at yourself. So you want to start in a safe place. Yeah. And then you use nature as the messenger to you and the symbolic messages and what that means for you in this present moment. And that helps integrate. And the breath helps integrate.
That's beautiful. Before we wrap up, because you work with people on this stuff all the time.
I do.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's a ripple effect to doing this work, because it's talking about our emotional, our physical, our spiritual. I don't know what the other one I missed, but I mean, there's like doing this work, like there will be physical ailments that will resolve themselves. There will be emotional things that like get, highlighted and healed and resolved. So
Yes.
it's kind of all encompassing. So how do people work with you? How do they find you? What do they do?
Oh, yeah. Well, they can find me at soulinspiredreflections.com. And they can also email me, and it's Gina at soulinspiredreflections with an S at the end.com. And just, you can book a consult for free, 15 minutes if you'd like. Go ahead and read some of my website. And seeing the
It's
ripple
a beautiful
effect.
website, by the way.
Thank you. I know I need to have some things completed on it, because I also like to bring in information, right? And it takes me my own while to write it. Yeah, and so in the way I work with people, it's evolved, and it's very much through sound. And I can do sound sessions via Zoom. I can do them in person, and it's 3 different ways people can receive, as far as what they want. You can just receive the sound session, and I use a layer of Metatron color healing, which is encoded with sacred geometry with the 6-pointed star, which directly connects us into a unifying energy of our higher self, or our Christos Sophia code, our masculine and feminine energy, our I am presence, whichever terms you want to use. But that's the energy we're working with, and to harmonize and unify and integrate the self into physical. And so you can just sit and receive in that sense. So that's the one I can also do remotely, because it just requires the person to have headset and have a comfortable place for themselves. In person, there's also the option of, I incorporate massage with instruments. So there's a sound massage. I use the Mona Lina, which too bad I don't, it's in my back room right now. I could have showed it here. And I strum that on the body, specific places on the body. It's very subtle, and it's not always felt by everyone, because it's what happens when we work with instruments. It oscillates you on a cellular level. So, and when you work with sacred geometry in the Merkaba, it oscillates you on a cellular and molecular level. So you're literally restructuring your cells through the vibration and oscillation of sound. Okay, and when you're receiving the sound meditation, it will move you in from a beta to alpha to a theta state, and then back into alpha. So that's why anything I'm doing, it's live, even if it's Zoom, because I need to observe what's happening with the body, so I can bring someone back to a grounded, present state. Okay, so they can relax. You set your intention. If you're working on illness, then that may require more sessions over a long period of time, and we can talk about that. If someone needs multiple sessions, because then we can talk about setting up other things. So don't be afraid to ask me questions if sometimes a cost is an issue, because I don't want people to be discouraged just by cost of things. So we can have open conversations about that if there's a need. And then the third way, all these components are still laid together. It's through actual lymphatic massage, because we're moving the water through the body. And then the components would be the same. The sound, playing either this. I can do it a couple different ways. It really depends how the person's presenting in front of me, where there's a few sounds on the body. But the way I see it is also doing the lymph. It gets the water moving, and then do the sound session. So they're relaxed, and then they receive the sound. Through the sound, it's going to move the molecular structure with the lymph that's already been activated. So that's the direction my work is going, and to help you from the inside out, align with what your goal is and what your intention was and is for the session, and then to continue those attunements of integration in and have this open heart connection with yourself and your body and your life and the world around you through sound.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. Like, it feels like, and going back to that like internet reference, like I don't understand how it all works, but it's magical and it's exciting. And I've loved this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I've loved it too. And yeah, it is exciting. So exciting. And I think it's that important piece. Just when you can feel it and you know it, you don't even need the explanation anymore. And this type of work is also, because it works with color, I'll lay colored silks. That's the light also, right? So it's working with light as well. And those have frequencies of sound. And it's a complementary therapy to other things that someone might be doing as well, right? So if someone is under the care of Western medicine or allopathic medicine, you could bring in this holistic approach to support your wellness, right? And if someone's more on the Eastern side, you can bring this in and support your wellness. So it's really merging all of the things all of us have available to maintain our wellness. And then people learn skills when they don't see me. They're also learning skills should they wish to. And because we have so many things for free. We have our breath, it's free. We have nature, it's free. We have the visualization of our mind. And when we can drop into our body and visualize it healed and the cells oscillating through the breath, the more you learn that, the less you need all these other things. But it's the transition to get us to that level of self-mastery of the body, which I'm constantly progressing with, and it's exciting. So, but thank you so much for having me here today, because you know I can keep talking. It's fun.
Well, thank you for being here. Maybe we'll do another part 2 of this at some point and go deeper into all of it. For everyone watching or listening, soulinspiredreflections.com. Check out Gina. She's got a lot of information on her website about what she does. You can connect with her there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, find the Possibility Perspective on your podcast outlets, on YouTube. Share me so we can reach more people and keep bringing more perspectives to the world. And until next time, see you later. Thanks for listening to The Possibility Perspective on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information about the show, you can subscribe to the podcast. Visit thepossibilityperspective.com.